You are inside, and if you meditate and you pay attention and work with witness consciousness, you're going to find out that there is a place in there where you are, and that the sights that are coming in are outside of you, even inside. Your thoughts are outside of you. You'll feel that they're at a distance from you because you're sitting in a center of consciousness, and then you're projecting your consciousness onto objects of consciousness.
In this episode, I speak with best-selling author Michael Singer. Michael is the author of the spiritual classic, The Untethered Soul, and also a book called The Surrender Experiment, which recounts his personal story of spiritual unfolding. It's a rare gift for me to have an in-depth conversation like this with Michael Singer. He gives interviews not often, and I took every opportunity I had to go deep and ask Michael the true questions that were in my heart about living untethered. Michael, we're here to talk about your new book, Living Untethered, the sequel, if you will, to The Untethered Soul. And to start, first of all, I just want to say how grateful I feel to have this chance to be with you in this way. I know you don't give very many interviews, and this is a really special treat for me, so thank you.
No, thank you for inviting me.
Now, share a little what inspired the writing of Living Untethered. What welled up inside of you such that you felt, it's time for another book?
I generally write when I have something to say. And that's what happened, is people were asking questions, people were going deeper, and I wanted to make sure they had the teachings at the deepest possible level. And so Living Untethered came out of all that.
Mm-hmm. You begin the book asking people, are you in there? Tell me about that question, are you in there?
Well, it's the beginning of all spiritual journeys. It's for a person to ask, or someone to ask someone a question, are you in there? I've never had anybody say, no, I'm not in here. That's an interesting concept to think. If they said, no, I'm not in here, well, then who's answering and who heard me? So that's a real centering beginning that anybody can deal with. Doesn't matter if they're on a spiritual journey, they were meditative or anything like that. Are you in there? And they all say, yes, I'm in here. And that's the starting place.
Mm-hmm. And in talking about being, quote unquote, in there, you describe something that you call the seat of awareness. And I wanted to start our conversation there. If someone were to listen to this conversation from the seat of awareness, what would that be like? How would they do that?
That's jumping ahead a whole lot, but let's start there, okay? You are aware. People don't pay attention to the fact that they're aware, but obviously they're aware. You see through your eyes, you hear through your ears, and you feel touch and so on. Who does that? What does that? Your eyes don't see. You see through your eyes. Your skin passes messages back to you. Your ears pick up sound vibrations, send them back to you. Who is that in there, and where in there? It's not really everywhere. There's a place inside of yourself from which you listen. That's why some meditation techniques are very beautiful. They tell you to just listen to quiet, listen to whatever sounds there, pay attention, listen. Then you really realize you're in there trying to listen. So basically, but you're asking a deep question. The deep answer is you are inside, and if you meditate and you pay attention and work with witness consciousness, you're going to find out that there is a place in there where you are, and that the sights that are coming in are outside of you, even inside. Your thoughts are outside of you. You'll feel that they're at a distance from you because you're sitting in a center of consciousness, and then you're projecting your consciousness onto objects of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. And, Michael, we're going to have a deep conversation here, you and me, because I think there's an audience of people who are so hungry for this. They want this so much, and they want to hear from you. So I'm not going to hold back, just to let you know. Okay, you talk about how from this place of the witness, we can witness a three-ring circus, you call it, which I think is quite humorous. Describe the three-ring circus.
Basically, there are three categories or groups of objects of consciousness that your consciousness is aware of. One is the outside world. If If you close your eyes, you don't see the outside world. If you open your eyes, there it is. Okay, it comes in. I discussed in the book, goes deep, tries to be somewhat scientific so that we fit into an intellectual model, because everything is logical and intellectual and reasonable. So the fact of the matter is, most people don't think about this, you don't really see through your eyes. Your eyes are sensors, we call them senses, but they're sensors, just like computer sensors, that are picking up light, turning it into signals that are being sent up your nervous system, your optical nerves, and then it is rendering it inside your mind. Just like you look at a flat screen TV, and you look at it in there. That's hard for us to relate to, because our mind is so intelligent that it creates 3D and depth perception and everything, even though you're actually back in here watching what's coming in. And I like to have fun with people. I say, I'll prove it to you that it's really just light that's bouncing off of objects and coming into your eyes, right? Turn off the lights and you won't see anything, because then there's no light bouncing off of things. But that's not how we think. We think, you turn off the lights, therefore I can't see. No, it's because I turned off the light. There's no light bouncing off the objects and reflecting back into your eyes. It's kind of neat, isn't it? All right. So it's fun to talk about this stuff. So one thing of the three-ring circus is there's an outside world with all of its objects, and there's a lot of objects out there. The second is that's not all you receive inside, not all you're aware of inside. You're also aware of thoughts, which I'm sure we'll be talking about deeper. So I'll just surface level it. You're aware of thoughts that go on in there. Are you not? Right? You notice your thoughts are talking to you. You notice you can make your thoughts think different things. So the consciousness, the exact same consciousness that is aware of the outside world, is aware of your thoughts. They're not separate, not categorizing it. This is the consciousness that hears my thoughts, and that's the consciousness that sees the world. You can do them both at the same time. You can be looking at something and thinking about it, and your same consciousness is seeing both. And then the third is your emotions, which are quite different than thoughts, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But basically, emotions are feelings, they're vibrations that come up. They're not thoughts, are thought forms. You can actually see a boat in there. You don't see words, but you can hear words. They're talking to you, that voice inside your head. Emotions aren't like that. They're just basically shifts in energy patterns, vibrations that you pick up, but they're very strong and they catch your consciousness. So those are the three things in the three-ring circus: the outside world that you're aware of, the thoughts that are inside your head, your mind, and the emotions that emanate from your heart. And the consciousness gets distracted by those things. So it's really funny that the word distraction becomes a spiritual word. People don't think of it that way. But deep spirituality deals with distractions. That's what it's all about. If you weren't distracted by your emotions, distracted by your thoughts, or distracted by the outside world, you'd be sitting in samadhi. The consciousness would be able to come back into its source, and that is very deep. The source, we can talk about that later too. The source of consciousness is not human. It's divine. It's universal. But we can't stay there because we have an emotion. Boom, the consciousness gets drawn to the emotion. It gets distracted. We can't because the thoughts come up. What am I supposed to do? Do I have time for this? Why should she say that? And then we're distracted by the thoughts. What is distracted? We're constantly distracted by our thoughts, distracted by our emotions, and distracted by objects in the world changing and doing things. Therefore, our consciousness is drawn out of the seat of consciousness, the center of consciousness, onto the objects that are distracting us. And those are the main thing I point out is that at one point in the book, I say, you don't stand a chance. It's like a conspiracy against you. Something happens outside, it causes thoughts to happen inside, and it causes emotions to happen. And they generally all line up. And then next thing your consciousness is not seated in a centered position. It's projected onto the objects of consciousness. So that's what I mean by three-ring circus.
Mm-hmm. Now, as I was reading Living Untethered, and there's the witness, there's the three-ring circus, the sense perceptions, the thoughts, emotions, I was tracking with you and I was kind of following your argument, if you will, the presentation beautifully. And then you got to the point where you said, there's a fourth thing in there as well. And you used the term Shakti. And I noticed the moment that you introduced this fourth thing inside, I got totally turned on. I got so excited. I was like, thank you, Michael Singer, for naming this thing in my experience, which I haven't really known exactly what to call it. I don't even know exactly, is it Shakti? How would I know what Shakti is? And so actually, I want to go into this because, as I said, I think there are people who are hungering to hear their experience named. So when we discover Shakti inside, what are we discovering?
We have energy inside. The way I teach, and you know that, and that's one of the reasons why people relate so well to the teachings, is I don't expect you to be some spiritual person that's studied all this stuff and believe, beliefs are a whole other thing. I don't care if you believe. I don't want you to believe. I don't want a mental concept of these things. Do you feel energy inside? And the best way to talk about that is, do you feel shifts in your energy pattern? Are there times in which you just are brimming with energy, like something really nice happened, okay? And you say, I'm so filled with energy. I could take on the world. Everything's power inside of me. It can be brimming up inside of you. You feel it tingling inside, okay? That is Shakti. That's not maybe what a deep yogi talks about Shakti, but that is Shakti. That is energy. And there are other times in which there's no energy. You feel like a wet dish rag. It just all of a sudden the energy goes down. You feel depressed, and there's just no juice. So many words we use for it, okay? Juice. Is it flowing inside of you? Those shifts in your energy pattern are shifts in Shakti. They're shifts in the deepest spiritual thing that exists, but you're feeling it at a surface level. And that's where I like to start. I like at least admit everybody feels shifts in their energy patterns, right? Everybody has different times that they feel high energy and they feel low energy. We call it being up, being excited, being enthused. That's energy. And we feel it being depressed and being down and being drained. That's a lack of energy, okay? So that's where I start. And then we'll work our way back to the deeper concepts of Shakti.
Mm-hmm. And if you were to describe right now in this moment, as we're having this conversation, what does Shakti flow feel like for you right here as we're talking?
I don't generally talk about that stuff, but
but we're friends, Michael.
If you work enough on yourself, and what does that mean? It means letting go of yourself, and we'll be talking about that. The energy flow doesn't come and go. It's always there. And it can shift a little bit, but it shifts from patterns that are very high. And it flows up, and it flows to the third eye and to the top of the head. And you feel this constant, all day, 24 hours a day, even feel while you're sleeping, that this energy is going up. It's flowing up. So it's always lifting you. You're always feeling love. You're always feeling, if you need energy, you just stop for a second and it comes flowing up inside of you. But that's because you cleansed yourself. You cleaned out what's blocking the energy. So I don't like to talk about it, that people should feel this or so on, but you can and you should, okay? You should be able to not block your energy so you start to understand the power of the Shakti flow, which is the power of your energy. You have energy. It doesn't take someone saying something nice to you for you to feel high, or it doesn't take that somebody says something not nice to you and you feel depressed. Behind that little shift in the humanness, there's a constant upward flow of energy. It's always coming out. So that's
Would you think one way to define living untethered is the free flow of Shakti energy through the person? That's living untethered?
Yeah. When tethered means you're blocked. You're tied down. I like to think of a hot air balloon. If you ever took a ride in a hot air balloon, right, big colorful things, you're not going anywhere while you're tethered. They even call those tethers. I like it a lot, right? The cord, the ropes that are tied, or ropes that are tying you down to the ground, and they're tied in. You're not going to go up. Put more helium in, put more hot air in. I don't care. You're not going up because you're tethered. If you cut those tethers, it just goes up automatically. You don't have to do anything. It's the nature of things that it will rise because it has helium or hot air in it. So that's what's happening to you. There's nothing wrong with your energy flow. There's nothing wrong with your Shakti. No one has more Shakti than somebody else. Mm-hmm. Everyone has infinite, but it's blocked. So the question becomes, how is it blocked? Where is it blocked? Why is it blocked? And what can I do about it? Because what everybody wants, whether they call it Shakti or spirit, whatever you want to call it, what they want is energy. Everybody wants to feel enthused. Everybody wants to be excited about what they're doing. Everyone wants to feel love. They don't want to feel depressed and down. And that means they want to feel energy. Then the whole discussion about living untethered is first understanding that is what you want. I don't care. You tell me, no, I want a new house. That's because you think it'll make you feel good. I want a new relationship. That's because you think that a new relationship will make you feel more love and make you feel higher. No matter what you tell me you want, you really don't want that. You want what you think it will give you. You want what you think the effect of that. I want to travel to Europe all over the place, and I want to visit the great wonders of the world. Why? What if you're depressed and you're not having a good time? Well, no, I don't want that, okay? What you're saying is, I think that these things will open me, will let me feel more energy, and that's what I want. And that's what everybody's doing. I don't care what they're choosing to do it. Everyone has different impressions as to ideas of what will turn them on.